2 years old. I think it's interesting the difference in size, and I know exactly why. This filly's mother is Mae West, and her mother was Belle Star. These are wild Mustangs from the Pryor Mountains of Montana. And this filly traces back to Cloud. You've heard of Cloud, the stallion I've documented for so many years. By the mother's side, Mae West, and Belle Star, the grandmother of this filly, is the full brother of Raven, Cloud's dad. Okay, and Belle's about this tall. The colt, Patriot, this is Patriot and Freedom. The colt, Patriot, is about a month older than Freedom, I think. And his mother is Chalupa, and she's a long-legged bay mare from the Pryors. And her father was Gray Bear, who was the largest, one of the largest stallions of the Pryors. He was a young stallion when he was removed. He was a band stallion at the age of 4, which is unheard of in the wild. And he was a big Gruya horse. He was removed and became a breeding stallion in Utah. And Gray Bear's father is Raven. So again, we go back to the Raven horse, who was a horse that introduced me to the Pryor Mustangs and showed me that wild horses are something more than animals that just stand around and feel great.
I've been walking in my sleep, counting troubles and counting sheep. Where the years went, I can't say. I just turned around and they've gone away. I've been sifted through the layers of dusty books and faded papers. They tell a story I used to know. It was one that happened so long ago. It's gone away in yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change directions across a great divide. Now I heard the owl calling softly as the night's falling with a question, and I replied, but he's gone across the borderline.
Hi, I'm Rita D. from Vermont. I'm a sculptor, mother of 5, and this is a piece that I've worked on for 2 years. It was done for our soldiers. I wanted to do a project where I could work with school children and raise their awareness of our wounded soldiers coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan. So I worked with a high school and a 5th grade class, 2 art classes. 100 pieces were done by 100 high school students, and about 80 pieces from the 5th graders. They worked on the tail, some of the main pieces. So I've been doing these horses for the past 25 years, basically. I go to the Hudson River, I collect driftwood, and I started out by making them out of plain wood and just staining it. And as time went on, I wanted to do more and more with it. And so I've begun making these painted pieces. And now I'm really interested in doing pieces that will benefit others. So this is, when this is auctioned off, when I find a venue that I can consign it to and it's auctioned off, all the proceeds will go to the Wounded Warrior Fund to benefit our soldiers, because I feel that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And I just feel that we all need to help these guys when they come home, and this is my way of doing it.
There will be a grand roundup where cowboys and others will stand to be marked by the riders of judgment who are posted and know all the brand. That road to that bright mystic region is a dim, narrow trail, so they say, but the one that leads down to perdition is posted and know all the way. The lightning rolled in hoops and circles. The rain in sheets was coming down as thunder rattled through the gulches and the hoofbeats shook the ground. Cowhands rode hell for leather, begging God for the break of day. A stampede beat the best camp meeting when it come to getting men to pray. I was but a young man, wild and full of fire, a youth within my teens, full of challenge and desire. Ran away from home, left my mother and my dad. It grieved them so to think their only boy was bad. I fell in with an outlaw band, the names were known quite well. How many times we robbed and plundered I could never tell. This kind of sinful living leads only to a fall. I learned that much and more the night I heard my master. And his word shall be fulfilled, 'cause there's strange things happening in the land. Well, I hate to bring bad news, but the future is looking grim. There's a dark moon rising, blood all around the rim. I can hear the thunder crashing, Lord, I hear the lightning flashing. There's strange things happening
in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, and we're at AmeriEquine, and I'm seated right, actually, my booth neighbor, all right, Jack Leeser Horsemanship, and we're nice. You're also involved in the Western Dressage Association, and so what we're going to do is, first of all, Jack, welcome. Thank you for joining us here, and tell us a little bit about your horsemanship program first.
I do Western Dressage, and I also do colt starting with Nakota horses. Those two basic things that I work on. So you get the foundation with the colt starting. The Western Dressage is more the advanced maneuvers and getting your horse to progress along. So it's taking a horse that knows absolutely nothing, with particularly the Nakota horse, taking it really as far as you want to go.
Now, you're going to be involved here next weekend, which would be like June, 9, 10, 11, or 8, 9, 10, or whatever, in actually up in North Dakota with the Nakota horse. So tell us, for those that don't know, give us a real brief rundown on what the Nakota horse is.
The Nakota horse is a horse that comes out of North Dakota, out of Theodore National Park, and they stem back, some of the bloodline stems back to actually Chief Sitting Bull's horses. There's a lot of other mixing in there, but that's essentially where it comes from. And they've been in the park there till the 80s. In the 80s, there was a lot of rescuing and stuff that needed to be done, but now we have herds. Two brothers have these herds of up to 650 head.
I have seen Nakota horses being demoed as a rare breed at different expos around the country, and they're really a part of our heritage. That, Sitting Bull had his favorite horse and horses, and they are a part of that heritage and that Native American heritage. And the Nakota horses, look it up. They got a website for Nakota?
They do. It's nakotahorse.org. It's a great resource, information on there. There's less than 1,000 of these horses in the world, and over 650 of them are right there in Linton, North Dakota, so it's pretty cool.
Now, there's also this event which is surrounding the Nakota horses. Now, tell us what that is.
The Nakota Horse Experience is an experience that, I feel like everybody should go do it at least once, because you get to go out and see horses in the wild, or is natural as a horse can get, pretty much. You'll see herds of 60 to 80 horses together, and you get to see studs with their mares. And what we do is we go out and we'll gather in 20 to 25 head of horses, and over the 5-day of the clinic, we take those horses from knowing nothing, had very little human contact, into actually getting them going under saddle. So usually by the 5th day, we'll have 3/4 of those horses under saddle, and somebody will have been on their back and riding them. We also each day we'll spend part of the time going out to the pastures and watching the horses in their natural environment. And I feel like there's no place else really that I know of in the world where you can go see horses in the wild being horses, and then actually get to work with the horses too.
That's neat. Well, Jack, we really appreciate talking to you for a few minutes, and we are here at AmeriEquine in Fort Worth. So it's Jack Leisure Horsemanship, right?
Yes, jackleisure.com is my website, but Jack Leisure Horsemanship.
Well, we look forward to seeing you down the road, and get a hold of Jack. He does a great job, and check out the Nakota horses as well. Now, you stay with us. We got more coming right here on Speaking of Horses.
Dad actually brought to the band years ago. We're going to have Brother Mike sing. That was that bass level in the house there, Josh, okay? All right. This is an old Carter family gospel song that we're going to feature my older brother Mike to sing. It's called Diamonds in the Rough.
Yeah.
at beautiful Fort Worth, Texas. We're at AmeriEquine, and I'm standing next to Rick Meyer. Rick, I have worked at different events on and off for a while, and tell us what you're doing here at AmeriEquine.
Well, Wayne, this weekend they've asked me to come in and do the gaited horse clinics and the cowboy mounted shooting clinic. And I'll tell you what, it's for a first-time event here, it has been very, very good. The people have been tremendous, and it's interesting that the crowd is so into these different aspects of the equine world.
Well, yeah, it is, because you do the cowboy mounted shooting, I know, and you're out of Illinois, southern Illinois. But I also talked to you last year at the Asheville Alive, the Pasofino show,
right,
the Piedmont Classic, so I know you're very much into the gaited horses as well. So, and even though we're in Texas, there's a lot of gaited horse people down here.
Well, it was amazing. You know, when you're walking around and you see all these cowboys, and normally you don't associate cowboys with gaited horses, right, but at my clinics, it was tremendous. I mean, we had people that were just coming out of the woodwork, and all they wanted to talk about was gaited horses, and I had about 9 different breeds represented. So I thought, wow, this is great.
You look around and say, am I in Texas, really?
Yeah.
Okay. But you know, we want to give a plug for Orthoflex, because they brought you and a lot of other clinicians in here, so we want to put a plug in for them, because they put a lot forth to do this.
Well, Wayne, you know, as we have talked before, this is my 40th year as a professional horse trainer, and I've had a lot of saddles. There's no question about that, and I'm not one of these kind of guys that's going to try to promote something I don't believe in. The Orthoflex system, it is top-notch, and if there's a saddle that is going to fit as many horses as possible, this is the one. And because I train a variety of different animals, I'm always swapping saddles with this and that, whatever. But with my Orthoflex system that we have and that I use, it's not near as bad. And I don't have sore back horses, because you know, that's the key thing. A lot of these guys are riding these saddles, and you can feel the horses sore, and they have to overcome that. I don't have to do that. It's wonderful.
There's something else in this, too. If you got a good saddle and let's say a nice gaited horse, when you're my age, you don't have a sore back yourself either, let alone the horse.
Absolutely. Well, that all goes hand in hand. And the gaited horses, because of the construction of these saddles, it frees up the shoulder, allows the gaited horses the ability to move. So, yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, it's good to see you here and talk to you, and a big thank you to Orthoflex again, and you guys, and Rick, thank you very much.
My pleasure, Wayne, anytime.
And we got more coming. Stay with us.
Hey,
Here we are again. We are at AmeriEquine in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm very pleased to be standing here right now. If you see the banner here, it says the Stars of AmeriEquine. Well, Doug has been appearing on stage here doing some rope tricks, and Doug is a professional trick roper, champion roper.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about the history of how you started doing this, and in a minute we're going to have him show you a little bit.
Well, I grew up in the 50s when cowboys and Indians was it, you know, and of course I had a little rope, and I actually learned how to twirl it just a little bit, and that kind of lay dormant till I got to be, when I moved to Ohio, I was about 18, and I met a guy, Pop Wagner, who's a real good guitar picker, played a fiddle, could call square dances, wrote great songs, and he was a rope spinner. And I looked at what he was doing, and I thought, why should he have all that fun? And I stole everything he had, and then I was ready for more.
So you've been spinning a loop for quite a few years now.
Oh, it's actually, if you can be serious about rope spinning, which is questionable, I've been at it for about 25 years.
I think it's kind of apropos. We're right outside Will Rogers Arena, and if you want to talk about spinning the rope, Will Rogers is kind of the standard to that.
Well, you know, I got interested in Will Rogers because I was spinning ropes, and I read a book about him, and I read another book, and then I started collecting Will Rogers memorabilia, and now I have over 100 books by or about him. I've read them all, and I'm just coming from the Will Rogers Memorial Museum up in Claremore. Yeah.
Wow. And I'll just put this plug into it. If you've ever seen, it was a silent movie called The Roping Fool. If you want to see everything that Will Rogers can do, I saw a narration about that, and there's a little kid sitting on he's like 4 or 5 years old, and he's sitting on the steps outside one of the buildings while Will Rogers is doing all the roping. That's Will Rogers Jr. He did the narration, says, now I'm in that film, I'm right over there, but he ropes everything to a mouse.
It's really worth seeing, and for a rope spinner, it's something you can look at repeatedly and learn things every time you look at it.
Yeah, he was a classic. All right. We really appreciate you joining us here now. Now we're gonna watch a little bit of this rope spinning right now. So stay right here. We got this coming on Speaking of Horses.
Good morning. Approximately 5 minutes. Christy Underwear will present a seminar in the Pony Shoe Demo Ring on rider safety.
Well, at AmeriEquine here in Fort Worth, and we're going to talk vaulting. Frank Pace is with me, and they have a group of vaulters, Gold Star Pace Setters. And Frank is the coach, and I am going to assume the founder of this group.
Yes, sir. About 5 years ago.
Well, we're glad to have you join us here on Speaking of Horses. And before we see the girls do some vaulting, why don't you give me a little background on vaulting for those that don't know about gymnastics on horseback. Give us a little background here.
Well, vaulting, obviously the first person to get on a horse had to just grab mane and get up, and the horse didn't stand there and let him put his foot in the stirrup or something like that. So it goes back ancient. The Romans taught it, the Greeks taught it, and as you read the Greek literature about hippo, it's in their literature. But it really got big when the cavalry started in the world. And all the riding schools, Samur, Fort Riley, Kansas, Sandhurst in Great Britain, Spanish riding school, they taught their cavalrymen how to vault on, because when their horse got shot out from under them in a battle, they had to grab the nearest thing, plant their feet, and swing up. Guys being guys, first guy got up and said, "Look what I can do." The next guy said, "Big deal. Anything you can do, I can do better."
The beginning of machoism, right?
Exactly. And so it developed into a sport. Yeah. When the modern Olympics came along in 1896, equestrian vaulting was a part of it. When World War I came along and the cavalries were decimated, basically, they didn't have the equestrian events in 1920. 1924, people said, we need to do that again. Still, the horses weren't available, so they said, let's take a barrel and put some handles on it and let the guys do those tricks. We call that the pommel horse.
Okay.
And so modern gymnastics came from equestrian vaulting.
That's a very interesting point. That I did not know. I mean, I knew there was some of that history to the war, but not that it came up to the pommel horse that way and the modern gymnastics. So tell us a little bit about the benefits that the kids today, like the girls we're going to see in a minute, get from vaulting.
It's innumerable, and I just pick one. Our 7-year-old who's vaulting with us now, about 3 months. When we would do our reflections at the end of a practice, she would stand in the circle and we'd say, "Catherine, what was good tonight?" And she'd say, "I don't know." But now, yesterday, or day before yesterday, when we had our little demonstration over in the other ring, she was one of the instructors and telling people how to do this. So it brings out that confidence level in them. A young man you saw here a while ago, 3 days ago before this first event, he was shy, retiring. His routine was just bland and basic. When he did it yesterday, it was full of flair, full of dramatics. He was talking to the people here in the crowd. Self-confidence, trust. When you're doing a double or a triple and there's somebody way up in the air, has to be trust. You have to trust these horses. I could go on and on and on.
Well, there's a lot of benefits to it, and I'll tell you what we're going to do now, Frank. We're going to watch a couple of the girls. We don't have a horse with us here in your booth, but you will be performing again. You're performing all weekend here at AmeriEquine. But right now we've got the pommel horse, basically. We've got the barrel with the handles, simulating the horse. So thank you again. It is Gold Star Pace Setters Vaulting, and let's watch some of the girls in action. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, this is Emily. She's starting to do just a basic riding seat, and she's talking to Hannah rather than doing her compulsories. The first thing in the compulsories after you vaulted on is just a basic seat, your hands stretched out to the side, then a mill, turning around to the rear, and a swing to the rear, back to the mill, around to the front, back into the basic riding seat, then up to the knees, and into a flag. And the flag is held for 4 strides of the horse, whether it's walk, trot, or canter. Then standing up, arms out to the side, slide down very controlled, swing with your feet going to the rear, and off dismount. Those are the basic compulsories. See what Hannah's going to do. Mount. Now we're doing it on the barrel obviously today, but this is our learning tool for doing it on the moving horse. Up to her knees. And she's doing a flag the opposite way and changing back. Hannah does it both ways and has an interesting part in our show where she needs to do it both ways. And then do a stand. Slide down controlled. Easy on the horse. A mill. Swing. The mill back around. And swing again, and then she'll dismount. And then she comes to the inside. Great, thank you, girls. All right. These are the girls doing a double, and I think it's probably pretty ad-lib today. So we get the mount, the assisted mount for Hannah. They're into a leg up thing. The girls have names for all these things, and I don't know them. There are stags and princes, and into a shoulder stand while Emily's doing a plank. And then they change. Emily's going to do a kick up on her elbows. And I think this is a pretty neat move. And again, this is really neat on top of a moving horse. And this one I really like, and it's a great photo opportunity where they both do a flag whenever Emily does it. Emily, you going to do a double flag? Okay, here comes the double flag. Great photo opportunity. They hold that all the way around the circle if they can, and usually do. I think we're going to change positions into we call this a Superman. Into a supported shoulder stand. Nice pointy toes. Both of them standing in the handholds and doing a stag, I believe is what they call that one. I don't do the choreography. One of our other coaches does that, so I just know this is the thing where you stick your leg out, where she knows all those moves. So now we'll just kind of watch and see what they do, and if I see a dismount and a dismount. Thank you, girls.